Uh, Hello, everyone. I'm Anna. I'm happy to see you again, Virgos. Mm, okay. There's something approaching with your name on it, isn't it? You've been sensing a shift in the atmospheric pressure around your life, that peculiar, anticipatory energy that arrives before good news breaks through. And what's moving toward you between now and Saturday carries potential to completely rearrange your emotional landscape from the careful management you've been maintaining into something lighter, brighter, more genuinely joyful than you've allowed yourself to experience in quite some time. Let me share what I'm perceiving in the convergent timelines surrounding you right now. The first thing breaking through is this recognition you might be experiencing that multiple positive developments are clustering around same narrow window of time. You could be picking up on not just one piece of good news, but several different domains of your life simultaneously showing movement toward resolution, improvement, celebration. You might be sensing that Saturday specifically holds significance as marker point, that before this weekend arrives, you're going to receive information or experience developments that shift your entire orientation from the anxiety or heaviness you've been carrying into relief so profound it manifests as that big, unguarded smile, the kind that takes over your whole face without your permission, because joy is too strong to be contained by your typical composure. Here's what you could be observing in the texture of your immediate reality. You might be noticing increased frequency of checking your phone or email with that particular quality of expectation. Subconsciously aware that communication is coming that matters. You could be picking up on yourself being more alert to possibilities than you usually allow, your pragmatic Virgo nature slightly loosened by intuitive sense that something good is brewing. And that readiness you're experiencing, that openness to positive surprise, even while trying to manage expectations. So you're not disappointed if nothing materializes. That's your system preparing to receive what's already in motion toward you. What's pulsing through the probability fields is that you could be dealing with news that validates effort you've been putting in. You might be sensing that one of these seven pieces of good news involves recognition for work you've done, acknowledgement from someone whose opinion matters, confirmation that project you've been pouring yourself into is landing well, professional advancement that reflects your actual value rather than making you continue to be underappreciated. You could be picking up on being seen accurately for your contributions, for your capabilities, for the meticulous care you bring to everything you touch, and experiencing that accurate reflection after a period of feeling invisible or taken for granted is going to create emotional release that looks like joy, but is also relief at finally being recognized for who you actually are. This reflection invites you to consider what you've been doing excellently without adequate acknowledgement is less than has hone. Zero hash is greater than. And whether receiving external validation for internal standards you've been maintaining, regardless of recognition, will feel like coming home to yourself, or whether you'll minimize the praise because you've internalized being overlooked. You might be noticing that you're experiencing anticipation mixed with your typical caution about hoping too hard. You could be picking up on part of yourself that wants to fully believe good things are coming, while another part immediately generates skeptical commentary, reminding you that you've been disappointed before, that things that seem promising often fall through, that preparing for worst case protects you from devastation when best case doesn't materialize. You might be sensing internal conflict between hopeful child in you and protective adult. And learning to let the child hope while the adult stays grounded without the adult completely shutting down the child's capacity for excitement is a delicate balance you're navigating right now. What's radiating through the communication channels is that you could be dealing with news arriving from multiple independent sources. You might be sensing that these 7 pieces of good news aren't all connected to single area, that you're going to receive positive development regarding relationship situation, separate good news about financial matter, different encouraging information about creative project or health concern or family dynamic. You could be picking up on comprehensiveness of improvement, on your life shifting favorably across multiple domains simultaneously, rather than just one area getting better while others remain stagnant. And that holistic uplift is what's going to make the smile so big. Not just relief about one thing, but sense that maybe finally things are turning around generally. What's particularly interesting about what I'm witnessing is that you might be approaching news that surprises you with its timing. You could be sensing that something you'd given up on, or at least stopped actively expecting, is suddenly moving forward. That door you thought was closed is revealing itself as merely stuck. That person who went silent is reappearing. That opportunity you thought passed you by is circling back. You might be picking up on universe having different timeline than your impatience wanted. And discovering that delay wasn't denial, but was necessary preparation period that's now complete is going to shift how you interpret past frustrations, revealing them as purposeful rather than punitive. Um, you might be observing that you're experiencing one piece of good news being connected to your health or physical well being. You could be picking up on receiving test results that are better than expected, noticing symptom that was concerning you, resolving itself, experiencing energy returning after period of depletion, getting medical news that removes anxiety you've been carrying. You might be sensing that your body is cooperating with your healing efforts. Finally, and for someone who tends to push through discomfort rather than adequately addressing it, having physical relief arrive feels like particularly meaningful blessing because it gives you back capacity. You'd resigned yourself to functioning without. What's threading through the relational matrices is that you could be dealing with good news involving someone you care about choosing you clearly. You might be sensing that one of these 7 developments involves communication from someone whose regard matters to you. Person who's been ambiguous becoming direct, someone you were interested in revealing mutual interest, existing partner demonstrating renewed commitment or making gesture that shows they understand what you need. You could be picking up on being prioritized And for Virgo, who often finds yourself in service role where you're supporting others without equivalent investment coming back to you, experiencing someone actually showing up for you in tangible ways is going to hit differently than generic good news. It's going to touch the specific wound of feeling like you always give more than you receive. This reflection invites you to consider how you respond when someone actually meets you at your level of care and investment, and whether you're able to receive that graciously or whether you immediately start testing it, looking for flaws, preparing for them to disappoint you because reciprocity feels too unfamiliar to trust. You might be noticing that you're experiencing financial good news as part of this cluster. You could be picking up on money arriving that eases pressure you've been under, refund you weren't expecting, payment that was delayed finally coming through, raise being approved, freelance opportunity materializing, investment showing return. You might be sensing that one of these 7 pieces of good news removes specific financial stress. And while the amount might not be life changing in absolute terms, the relief it provides relative to your current anxiety about that particular expense or obligation is going to create disproportionate emotional response, because it's not just about the money, it's about the evidence that you're being supported, that the universe hasn't abandoned you to struggle indefinitely. What's also surfacing is that you could be dealing with creative or intellectual validation. You might be approaching feedback on work you've produced that confirms your vision. Audience responding positively to something you created, ideas you've been developing being recognized as valuable, writing or art or analysis you've done, connecting with people in ways that prove you're not laboring in obscurity. You could be picking up on being seen for your mind, for the specific quality of insight you bring. And for Virgo, whose intelligence is central to identity but who often feels misunderstood or underutilized intellectually, having your thinking validated is soul level nourishment that conventional compliments about being nice or helpful never quite provide. The vibrational signatures suggest you might be experiencing good news that allows you to stop worrying about specific situation. You could be sensing that one of these developments involves a problem you've been troubleshooting getting resolved, not through your continued effort, but through external factors finally aligning. You might be picking up on being able to release mental space you've been dedicating to managing concern. And for someone whose default mode is vigilance about what could go wrong, having legitimate reason to stop worrying about particular issue is freeing in ways that create space for other emotions like joy that get crowded out when you're in constant problem-solving mode. What's significant is that you could be approaching Saturday as a culmination point where multiple threads converge. You might be sensing that good news arriving before weekend isn't evenly distributed across days, that there's buildup happening where information comes in stages, creating momentum. You could be picking up on Friday or Saturday specifically being loaded with revelations, and that concentration of positive developments in short time frame is going to create an experience of abundance, of being blessed, of finally catching break after extended period of just getting by. This reflection invites you to consider what you'll do with the relief this good news creates, and whether you'll allow yourself to actually rest and celebrate, or whether you'll immediately redirect your anxiety toward next concern because peace feels too unfamiliar to inhabit without finding new problem to focus on. Um, you might be picking up on one piece of good news involving social connection or friendship. You could be experiencing reconciliation with someone you've been at odds with, invitation to event or opportunity that makes you feel included after period of isolation, recognition from peer group that validates your belonging. You might be sensing that you're being welcomed. And for someone who often feels like outsider, even in groups you're theoretically part of, too analytical, too particular, too intense for casual connection, experiencing genuine acceptance without having to modify yourself to fit in is going to touch something tender. What I'm witnessing in the convergence patterns is that you could be dealing with news that confirms you made right decision about something you were second guessing. You might be approaching validation that choice you made despite other skepticism was actually wise. That boundary you set was appropriate. That risk you took was calculated correctly. That path you chose is leading where you hoped it would. You could be picking up on your judgment being proven sound. And having external confirmation that, yes, you know what you're doing. Yes, your analysis was accurate. Yes, trusting yourself was warranted. That's going to quiet the perpetual self doubt that comes with being detail oriented enough to always see what could be improved. The resonant frequencies suggest you might be experiencing one piece of good news as completely unexpected. You could be sensing that while 6 developments might be in areas where you've been consciously hoping or working, one is going to arrive from direction you weren't watching, blessing you didn't know to ask for, positive development in domain you'd written off as unchangeable. You might be picking up on being surprised and allowing yourself to be delighted by surprise rather than suspicious of it, to receive gift without immediately analyzing it for hidden cost is practice in trust you're being invited into. What's also coming through is that you could be dealing with good news that validates your intuition about someone or something. You might be approaching information that confirms suspicion you've had. Proof that yes, that person does care about you the way you sensed they did. Evidence that yes, that opportunity is as good as it seemed. Confirmation that yes, your read of situation was accurate despite others telling you you were overthinking. You could be picking up on your perceptive abilities being vindicated. And for someone who's been told you're too analytical or too suspicious or too careful, having reality prove that your careful observation was seeing truth rather than manufacturing problems is going to feel like permission to trust yourself more rather than constantly second guessing your assessments. This reflection invites you to consider what changes in how you move through life when you fully trust your own perceptive abilities. And whether receiving this confirmation about your accuracy will embolden you to act more decisively on your intuitions going forward rather than always needing external validation before you trust what you're observing. So, as you Move through these next few days towards Saturday and whatever revelations it holds. Practice staying present rather than catastrophizing about how good news could turn bad. You might be experiencing temptation to preemptively protect yourself from disappointment, to minimize hope, to prepare speeches about why you're fine if nothing good actually happens. But what I'm witnessing is someone who's about to receive multiple confirmations that yes, things can work out. Yes, effort pays off. Yes, you're valued and seen and supported in ways you've been doubting. Trust that the smile that's coming is real. You might be so habituated to managing disappointment that you've forgotten what uncomplicated joy feels like, what it's like to receive good news without immediately analyzing it for problems, what it's like to let yourself be purely happy without hedging. But that big smile you're going to feel spreading across your face, that's your soul recognizing that maybe finally you can exhale a little, can release some of the constant vigilance, can trust that you're not alone in managing your life. Saturday is coming. Good news is coming. Multiple pieces of good news are coming. And none of it requires you to be perfect or to have everything figured out or to somehow earn blessing through flawless execution. It's just coming because you're you, because you've been showing up, because you've been doing your best, even when results weren't visible. Let it arrive. Let yourself receive it. And when that smile takes over your face, when joy bubbles up without your permission, don't analyze it, don't question it, don't minimize it. Just let yourself feel it because you deserve moments of uncomplicated happiness as much as anyone does, and this week is delivering several. Watch for them. They're coming and they're real. Let them change your face. Let them change your heart. Let them show you that yes, good things do happen to you and they're happening now.